let me come to you, Alex, on Leroy Sané, because I do want to move it to this, because I do believe that there's some links here. Now, I've got his stats up for Bayern Munich. Everyone said he had a shocker of a couple of years. So in the last 3 years in the Bundesliga, he's got 14 GA, 15 GA, and 19 GA. Can play right and left. Absolutely destroyed Arsenal at the Emirates. 28 years old, I think, going on 29, if I've not got that wrong. 28, yeah. So he is a player that I've always looked at and questioned that he could come to Arsenal. Now, Arteta apparently is obsessed with him. Leroy Sané was obsessed with Arteta when he was at Man City. Do you think this one could happen? And if it does, what sort of price and wages are we looking at? Because Igal did bring up a good point, and then it might cost a bit.
Yeah, I think financially, I think financially it doesn't make sense simply because his wages right now that he is on is, what is it, equivalent to 280K a week in UK.
Same as Havertz, basically.
So he would be one of our highest paid players, and really and truly, I'll be looking at him as a squad option and not really a week in, week out starter. You could say quality-wise, he's a good enough player to be in the team, but if we're looking at a £60 million transfer, £50 million transfer plus his wages, it doesn't make financial sense. That's why Eze makes more sense.
I don't think it'd be 60 mil.
What?
I said I don't think it'd be 60 mil.
How much do you think it would be?
I think probably 40 upwards, but not 60, probably between 40 and 50. And wages, obviously, if he wants to come and he might have to, if he likes Arteta and he's obsessed with it that much, take a pay cut in it.
Yeah, but how much of a pay cut are you willing to take?
Well, if Havertz come in, with on the back end of 3 bad seasons at Chelsea on that money, why can't he?
Nah, man, we can't be making players that I don't view coming into the team as week in, week out starters, and a little bit older also, and putting them on those kind of wages right away. I think
I don't know, but I think he comes into the squad, he gives you a shitload of experience, especially in the Champions League. He knows this league inside and out, and I don't think that you just need to get someone a shambles on shit wages just to sit on the bench. I'm not saying on their toes good enough to be starting week in, week out. So for me, pay the dough in it. Like,
no,
really,
but one second, you don't want to create. You don't want to create another problem. You can still get a quality player like Eze. You can still, Nico Williams will actually cost us less than him if you can get Nico Williams to actually leave Bilbao. On top of that, there is players like Eze. There's other players around there you can still get.
Of course, there's other players there, but right now there's potentially is that they're probably not looking feasible. That's why we're getting linked to this guy, and that's why we're probably looking at him. I think Arteta, as we already know, likes the younger player anyway. So I think if we had our option, we would get them. But for this season moving forward, if they say, right, is either nobody or a Sane, best believe I'll be taking a Sane. I think he adds a lot of quality to the team.
I think he would be potentially, I'll ask you this, Alex, I think he'll potentially be starting as well. I know Igal says that he wouldn't get ahead of Saka, and I agree with that. But I think Martinelli and Trossard, as much as I rate them both, and I want Martinelli to have an absolute brilliant season, I think he could get in on that left-hand side. But I don't know what your thoughts are, Alex, on this potential signing. It's gone on Sky Sports News today on the Yellow Bar, saying that we're assessing the contract situation at Bayern. He's quite happy in Bayern Munich, apparently, and wants to do an extension. So wages could come into this for sure.
I mean, there's the whole thing about his wife, his girlfriend in London. He wanted to be in London a lot more, traveling back and forth. So there is something in it. I mean, you got Arteta, the link there. He loved playing with Arteta. I think people are kind of looking at it and going, Saka needs a backup. I think we need to start changing the mindset like we've done with the defense now, and start looking at it going, actually, this is a guy that could come on the left, he can play on the right. I think he's played over 200 games left wing, about 150 right wing. He's played about 80 odd attacking midfield. And when we're looking at Odegaard, everyone's going earlier, what happens if Saka's not there? I'd argue we've got Jesus to go there. If you're looking at the 8 position, we've got Rice, we've got Partey, Jorginho, we've seen them kind of going there. Odegaard could play as an 8, same as 6. I think if Odegaard goes down, who do we play? Like, I genuinely don't know who. So maybe Sane is that person. So maybe we buy Sane, we put him in. But like, if you look at the numbers, he's got. What about Eze? We don't have it.
Eze could play the 10 also.
You're saying Eze would be a better signing than Leroy Sané. Look, I
Because
love
he could also
Eze.
play
I
the
would
10.
love him, Matt. I think the versatility is there. I agree with Igal. Right, left, 8, attacking 8. I think he can play
I
and he
like
can
him
play
as
10.
well.
He
So
could cover for Odegaard also.
yeah, and he'd be cheaper. And he's well, it wouldn't be cheaper for. I think it'd be more expensive as it goes. Wage wise, he wouldn't. But 68
Wage-wise,
million is the release
he'd be
clause.
half his wages, yeah.
Yeah, because he's 68 million release clause for Eze. I really want him, man. I think he'd be a phenomenal signing. I really do think he'd be brilliant.
Can I just make make one point? I'm not sitting here saying I don't think Leroy Sané is a good player. I think he's a good player. I think if we could sign him and he would take a pay cut and come in for like 180 or something like that, it would make sense. But do you think he's going to take 100K a week discount to come to Arsenal?
No,
I don't think that's gonna happen. And
Why does he have
with
to come in at 180? I don't understand.
Premzi, the situation I'm saying from my perspective, looking at it just from a financial aspect, it wouldn't make sense for him to come into the team, Arsenal to sign him for however much we pay, 40 million, then make him one of our highest earners at the
But then
club.
but is a risk you take? This guy might come in, yeah, and end up winning in the Champions League, and then what are you gonna say? Or
But it's
give
also
him
there's
raise his
also a
wages?
risk. There's also a risk that Saliba is going to be getting a new contract soon. Saka's going to be getting a new contract soon. Martinelli's going to be getting a new contract soon. And you have Kai
Oh,
Havertz
didn't
and
all
Sane.
these guys just sign a new contract recently? Or am
Yeah,
I
but
tripping? Am I living
Saka's
in
2
the
years
early
away.
years?
Saka's 2 years away after this year.
Hey,
Then
Gal,
Saliba's 2 years
let
away
me
after
ask you,
this year.
why are you so worried about the accounts? What's going on here?
No, because guys, as much as we want to look at it just as fans and say bring in every player that we think is quality, we have to actually look, is it feasible? Is this something that they would actually look at and say
It doesn't look
makes
like we're going to bring in 6-7 players this season, though, does it? It looks like maximum probably 3 players are probably going to come in. So if you do spend a little bit of money and spread them over them 3 rather than bringing in 4 or 5 players, why not?
I don't think it financially makes sense to bring in a player like even as good as Leroy Sané is and put him and make him your highest club, the highest paid player at the club. It just doesn't make sense. You're going to cause yourself more disruption down the line. And as good as the club is right now, the situation we are in right now, in 4 years down the line, we could be in a situation like Man United where all of our players are on like 300K a week plus. It could be that situation. So based on that, based on how you're managing your team, you don't want to cause disharmony by bringing a player who I would view potentially as a bench option being paid as the highest paid player at the club. It just doesn't make sense.
Well, yeah, but the player,
Can I just say one thing, though?
player is Havertz, and he divided opinion.
And you want to know something? He made himself worth his wages to a certain
Yeah,
degree.
But we weren't all saying that before he signed.
No,
It's
we
not
weren't.
standing alone.
And we've also got Jesus on
And
similar.
one second, and let's not act like everyone wasn't looking at his wages saying this is ridiculous. I think
Nah,
Leroy Sané,
I was looking at him thinking he's ridiculous. Never mind the wages. He's
Yeah,
proving me
and
wrong.
I think
I'm not looking
Leroy
at
Sané-
wages.
In defense,
I'm trying to look at
Yeah,
wages.
but we're trying. But one second, Leroy Sané has the clout, but really and truly, I don't think he's going to be as effective. And based on his age and the wages that he's going to be on, it makes sense to get a younger player with a higher scope to grow with a more reasonable wage package.
Guys,
Look,
man, are going on
listen,
like 28. It's like the end of the life and all that. You're 28.
You're right.
Bro,
Man.
I think besides the games against us, Bayern fans themselves were telling me he wasn't having a good season.
I think, look, Igal, the reason why, when Dan asked the question about, why do we mention the wages or why is it so important about the accounts? The reason why is because, and again, I'm sure we all done it once in our lives. The reason why is because when they don't perform well, and he's on 250,000, we all mention the wages because they don't meet the level of expectation that you're expecting them to pay. The same prime example is Kai Havertz. When he was performing poorly in the first half of the season, the first thing everybody said, the first 2 things, he was performing crap. Why did we buy him? And he's on the most money at the club. So the reason why is because you're going to pay this guy £300,000, 280,000, 250,000, and they're not going to meet anywhere near the level of expectation. The first thing you're going to do is mention his age and his money because he's not reaching that. So yes, both points are correct. I do think that we need to go out and spend a bit more on on certain players, but I just think that there are certain players that you go push the boat out for. Now, Havertz wasn't the one, so I'm not sitting there saying he's the person that you should have gone and put the money for. But what I am saying is that we always use the money that people are on as a barometer, because we look at them and think these are the guys that you're paying heavy money for, and they're not performing. Saka is on 300, 280, 250,000 pounds, and everybody was skeptical because he hadn't won anything, and everybody kept saying he's only 21, 22 years old at the time. Does he deserve that? And he's then gone on to get his best season in terms of numbers and in terms of effective play in the season. But before, everybody had doubts over why he deserves that. So we always go to money. So we can't just now say, oh, why do you care about the accounts? It's because Dan, me, you, we've mentioned fees before in terms of wages. So I think that's a fair question to ask. Now, will I agree with maybe some of you? I think maybe sometimes the girl does care about the accounts too much, but there's credence to why he cares about that, because you guys, including me, especially
but
you,
bro,
I always talk about money.
if you make sales, yeah, if the club are running efficient, and they're not just looking to bring players in and bring players in and bring players in, fair enough. But we are, we are looking to make sales, as we already seen. Emil Smith-Rowe might go, the Conga, plenty of players are going to go out. So if it means facilitating 3 players, and out of them 3 players, maybe one of them are on a bit more of a higher wage, and you know where we are right now as a club, where that potential player could push us over the line. Fuck it, just do it, bro. I'm paying enough though to this fucking club.
No, Premsy, you're right, but let's be fair.
That's why I'm not.
No, Premsy, let's be fair. Let's be honest here. If that's the case, you're not going to care about that. In that moment, if we lose 1-0 to Man United away from home, you're not going to be like, oh, you know what? It doesn't matter about us not spending, and Sane's gone 15 games of not scoring a goal because we took a. You're not going to care about that. All you're going to be mentioning is the fact that he's gone 15 games without not scoring a goal. We've just lost 1-0 to Man United away from home, and he's on 285.
Bro, that's all hindsight. You can say that about any single signing. You get Calafiori might come in and be dog shit, and you might say, what? 42 million pounds down the drink. You know what I'm trying to say? So
you're right. And no, you're right, Premsy. But what I'm making, my point, you're right. You're 100% correct. But the difference is the likes of Lukonga, they didn't cost 60 million pounds and on 280,000. So when you add all of that into the circle, into the pot, into the mixture,
that's 14 million a year.
You then and on a 4-year contract, that's an outlay of what? 160.
That's 50
all
million.
I know is, well, you know, guess what? The amount of merch these fuckers bring out, I'm sure that'll pay for it, bro. They bring out so many. You gotta. Let me tell you something now, Arsenal are not stupid as a football club. Arsenal.
That's why they wouldn't get Leroy Sané.
You get me?
Because they're
Arsenal make a lot of money, but you can take a risk here and there. You get me?
Hold on. Wait, let me finish. Hold on, Premsy. Again, it wasn't to your liking. It wasn't to many of our likings. The club took a risk on Havertz, and all you did was moan before he turned out good. Now, what I'm saying to you is, you're right, because we all didn't think he was going to be the player. When he first signed for us, I was a little bit skeptical, and then the first couple of games, I changed my opinion because I thought I saw something. But you moaned non-stop about him.
Bro, so I moaned. No. Listen, good thing is, because you can't chat. You can't say this, but tell me what I said and what I didn't say. I tell you straight. Now, listen, I tell you straight with the Havertz situation, Bro, nobody wanted him. I didn't want him. Nobody wanted him. But even on stated even on record. I said the moment he puts an Arsenal shirt on, I'll back him. Whether I don't like it or not, that's the situation. You get me?
No.
And that's there. You get me? So every single football is a risk, bro. Every single football is a risk. And in this day and age, I don't think 280 grand is a lot of money. That's
okay. No, you're right.
But that's our highest paid player.
No, hold on. Premsy, you know I'm not coming at you directly. All I'm saying is, in the conversation that we're talking about, yes, you did back him, but there was a lot of moaning because
100%.
A poor performance, and rightly so. So all I'm saying is the club took a calculated risk, which you just asked for, and you constantly kept mentioning his money and the fact that he cost X amount of money.
No. What I mentioned is because I didn't want him at all. If you had my opinion now, I still wouldn't have him in it. But he's wearing Arsenal colours. I'll rate it. With Sane, with Sane, what I'm saying is one of them situations where if we're not going to get us a winger or a forward, and he's the option that's there, I'm going to take him. I don't care if it costs that bit of money, because regardless of what, you don't know what's going to happen in 2 years' time. Saudi might come and take him in his shit.
100%. And all we were saying is, I think all we were saying is,
They're not good at selling
we
players.
don't think that he's worth £280,000 per week on a £60 million incoming fee for Bayern Munich.
Even if
There
it
are
was
other
40 million.
there are other options. That's all.
All
That's
right,
what we're saying.
Gal,
There are other.
I
There
get
are
it.
other.
I get it, but we got to trust the manager in it because, like I said,
Of
a lot of the
course,
times he's
listen,
proved us wrong.
100%.
And if this is somebody he wants, and this is somebody he's going to bring in on
100%.
280 grand, we can afford that as a club. Then in it, the club are not going to bring in somebody
Listen,
that we can't
I
afford
agree.
to bring
I
in.
agree.
So there's
I
no
agree
point
with that.
any of us
course.
fucking sitting here saying, "Oh, this finance or that finance." Well, we're not even there.